Next, we're going to fill out the Ohio Used Motor Vehicle Dealer License application, which is called Form 4320. And I want you to be aware, we have one of the longest dealer applications in the country. So we are going to spend some time on this application. The dealer application has to be completed correctly and in its entirety. Mistakes on the application can lead to delays in the approval of your dealer's license. So you want to make sure that you are completing this form correctly. And you can download the form right there at autodealers.ohio.gov. So let's take a look at the first page of this application, and I'm going to magnify the screen so you can see the information a little more easier. So let's take a look at the first question box at the very top there, okay? Now, the BMV wants to know if you are a manufacturer of motor vehicles. Manufacturers of motor vehicles are prohibited from holding retail dealer licenses. The United States has what's known as a three-tier manufacturer system, where a vehicle manufacturer, like say for example Chevrolet, must sell the vehicles they make to a franchisor like Mark Wahlberg Chevrolet, and then Mark Wahlberg Chevrolet sells the vehicles to the retail customer. This three-tier system prohibits manufacturers like Chevrolet, Ford, Nissan, and Toyota from opening their own dealerships. So if you are not a manufacturer, check no. Don't check no if you're like Henry Ford IV, but check no if you are not a manufacturer. The next question wants to know if you or your spouse is a veteran, and if you or your spouse is a veteran, the BMV will expedite the approval of your dealer license. If you or your spouse are a veteran, you can enclose your DD-214 discharge papers. If you or your spouse are not veterans, just check no, and you should still receive your dealer's license in about 4 to 6 weeks. Veterans, however, do get theirs quite a bit quicker. Next, you're going to see these 4 check boxes right here, okay? The BMV wants you to only check one of these boxes because they want to know what the majority of your sales will be, whether it's used motor vehicles, used motorcycles, used APVs, or used trailers. So be sure to only check one of those boxes to let the state know what the majority of your sales will be. You will be licensed to sell from all 4 categories, but you only check one box. In the next dealership information section, you will enter your registered name and your fictitious name or trade name. So let's just say, for example, you're Ohio Motors LLC doing business as Columbus Auto Sales. You would enter Ohio Motors LLC right there in the registered business namespace and Columbus Motors in the registered fictitious namespace that you see right there. Now, these names could be the same. You might enter Columbus Motors in both of these boxes if that's what you're going to be doing business as. But if you have a separate corporate name, you would enter the corporate name into the top box. And always remember, the registered fictitious name is the name that you're doing business as, and that's the name your customers will recognize you as. So be sure to enter the date that you also registered your business entity with the Secretary of State. And I'm going to show you that later on in the course. We have a whole section. I'm going to take you to the Secretary of State's website, and we'll register there. And I'll also give you the Secretary of State Corporations Division phone number in case you want to call that information in or have questions about business entities. Now you'll enter your exact dealership address. This must be the physical address to show the BMV exactly where your dealership is located. And you can enter a P.O. box if you have one, the city, the county, and then enter your business telephone. And the number here you enter must match the number you have posted on the front of your building. And remember, this is the number in which you answer in the dealership name. Then you can also enter an alternative number, like maybe a spouse's cell phone or something like that. And now you're going to enter your federal tax identification number and your vendor license number. And I'm going to show you how to get both of these numbers later on in the course. Do not submit your dealer license application without these 2 numbers, or the state will not issue your dealer's license. Then you're going to enter your bond company and the number of your bond and the expiration date right down here. And as a reminder, remember, you can never let your bond expire during your licensure period. Okay, your bond must always be in effect. You cannot let your bond expire, otherwise you're not qualified to have a dealer's license. On the next page of the application, you will need to check that you have completed your dealer training. Hopefully you'll watch the whole 6 hours here. If you ever need to know your course provider number, it's CP 000002. 2. Did you get that? Once again, it's CP, like course provider, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, and then a 2. It's a CP, 5 zeros and a 2. Your course provider number is on the dealer manual that you downloaded at the beginning of the course, and it's also going to be on your certificate of completion. So we're taking this course. There are very few exemptions, but so you're not going to have an exemption reason there, okay? The next section explains your fingerprints, which we covered a moment ago. And then we're going to enter our owner's information. And I want you to be aware the business entity that you have decided for your dealership will determine the title of each owner. So let's say, for example, you're operating your dealership as a sole proprietor. You're going to check sole proprietor in the business entity box. Then check that you are a sole proprietor or enter your name, home address, social security number, your other contact information, and then check whether or not you've completed your fingerprints. Now, if let's say you're going to be an LLC. Well, as you can see here, each person on an LLC is what is known as a member. So you would check LLC, then check the member box for each person whose name appears on the license, as you can see here. And you can be a single member LLC if you want. That is allowed. Or you might choose to operate your business as a business trust. Now, if you're a business trust, as you can see here, each person whose name's on a business trust will be called a trustee. So each person there, you would actually click the trustee box. Maybe you're going to run your dealership as a partnership. And if that's the case, as you can see there, each person on a partnership is referred to as a partner. So you would check the partner box for each person whose name's on the dealer license. And finally, if your dealership is a corporation, you will need to check which owner is the president and the vice president. And then over here on the next page, you'll need to check who the treasurer is and then who the secretary is. Okay, so before I continue, I want to read this very important information right here to you. Okay, it says right here, to the best of my knowledge and belief, the applicants acknowledge responsibility for any misrepresentation of the foregoing information and the subsequent statements in this application and any additional documentation as well. So everything we are entering here is true and correct. You cannot enter false information on a dealer license application, or you could be charged with a misdemeanor. I want to repeat that very important statement. If you ever enter false information on a dealer license application, you can be charged with a misdemeanor. So the first question, does the business listed on the application have a net worth of at least $75,000? Remember how we discussed that net worth just a little bit ago? Do not check yes unless it is true, okay? Question number 2, have you secured your dealer surety bond? And obviously you have to have your dealer surety bond. And then the BMV wants to know if you have an ownership interest in another motor vehicle entity. So maybe you own a detail shop or a repair shop or a towing company or even a car wash. The state just wants to know if you own another motor vehicle entity. This is not a problem at all, but the state wants to know about it. Then the state wants to know if you or a partner have ever applied for a dealer's license, an auction license, or even a salesperson's license in the past. Now, everyone, I often hear confusion when I'm giving my in-class training. You know, I've been in an auction before with a friend of mine. Does that mean that I've had an auction license? No, an auction license is a person that's had this humongous building with multiple bays and running motor vehicle auctions through that building. That's what an auction license is. I doubt if you have probably had an auction license. However, maybe you've had a dealer's license or a salesperson's license in the past. And if that's so, then they want you to enter the business name, the type of license, and your old dealer license permit number or your sales permit number, okay? Then let the state know if you have ever had a license suspended or revoked in the past, and if you've ever committed a felony or been involved in fraudulent acts that involve motor vehicles. Remember, we have to be true and correct on this. So now at the top of the next page, you're going to be asked if you've ever rolled back odometers. And obviously that's a big no-no in this industry. And then question number 9 wants to know if you are currently being sued over motor vehicle transaction and if that lawsuit is pending. So if you have an unresolved lawsuit against you involving a motor vehicle, the state wants to know about that. Next, on the established place of business section, you will need to initial that yes, you are aware that your building and your lot must meet all local zoning requirements and that we have contacted the local zoning authority to ensure that we have met local zoning requirements. Okay. And I just want you to always be aware, we've got to meet local zoning. I do know dealers that have purchased or leased buildings, and a city will only tell them that they could not have a dealership at that location. So one of the first steps you want to do when you find a building that you might want to use is contact either your city hall's planning and zoning commission, or maybe your county planning and zoning commission, and make sure that you can have a lot at that building. And now we need to state that, yes, we have at least a 3,500 square foot lot. Remember, that can be a combination of exterior space and interior space, or it can be all interior or all exterior. Okay, so on question C, the state wants to ensure the main focus of your building is the operation of a motor vehicle dealership. So then you must state that if you have a physical barrier from any other unrelated business. And next, I want to explain question E. If you have a repair facility that is owned by each person on the dealer's license, the repair facility would be considered the same business, and the state will actually allow a door from your office that leads into the repair facility. However, if you've got a repair facility attached to the building and it has an owner that's not on the dealer's license, well, the state considers that a separate business, and you could not have a door that leads from your office to the repair facility. So if you have a repair facility that is owned by each person that is on the dealer's license, you can check yes on question E. But if you have a repair facility, I also want you to be aware that the state wants you to make sure that your repair facility is supporting the operations of your dealership. The state does not want you to open a small dealership that's supporting the operation of some huge, massive repair facility. They want your dealership to be the main focus of your business operations. The next question wants to know if you are sharing the building with another licensed motor vehicle dealer, and this is not the norm. Normally, you will have 1, 2, maybe 3 persons on one license, but the state does allow up to 2 dealer licenses in one building. And if that's the case, then each dealer still needs to have separate 180 square foot offices, separate entrances, separate lots, separate signage, separate phones, separate bonds, separate records, separate insurance, okay? But if you are sharing the building with one other licensed dealer, then you'll also need to submit BMV form 4347, okay? Next, let the state know if the building you are using has ever been used as a dealership in the past. And then the state wants to know if you have an office that has at least 180 square feet, and does the office have at least 1 desk, 3 chairs, and at least 1 filing cabinet. And then next, the state wants to know if you have a sign with the entire registered business name in letters that are at least 6 inches high or larger. So make sure that we're answering all of these correctly. On the next page, you're going to enter your hours of operation, and be sure the hours you enter here match the hours that you have posted on your building. And remember, these are your official hours. And as it states right there, all licensed motor vehicle dealers are required to maintain at least 25 hours a week, with 10 of those hours being between 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. Okay, so those are our official hours, and they will be on record in Columbus. And remember, you would need to be staffed by either an owner, partner, or a licensed salesperson. Okay, so don't forget this. And if you ever want to change your hours, you will have to change your signage on the front of the building, take a picture of it, and then notify the BMV within 15 days on any type of license changes. And don't forget your photographs. You need a picture of your lot, the physical barriers between your business and another business, including customer parking, the inside and outside of your office, the sign with your registered business name, the posted hours, the posted phone number, and don't forget, we've got to take that picture from across the street and show the entire operations. You can enclose your photographs in the dealer license application packet that you're mailing to Columbus. And remember, you can email them to dealerphotos@dps.ohio.gov. If you're emailing photos, don't forget to put your dealership name and the county in your subject line. Otherwise, the BMV will not be able to locate your photographs. Next, I want to bring your attention down here to the subtotal fee that you see, which is $254.75. That's the fee you will pay for your dealer's license, and that includes your 1 main dealer license plate. If you want to order additional plates, you can order each additional plate for a charge of $10.25 a piece. Now, the only time you can choose the number of dealer license plates you are ordering is the first time that you're applying. As you can see on this chart, at the very bottom of the page, The BMV will count the number of vehicles you sold in 1 year, and that will determine the number of dealer license plates you can receive the following year. So in this box right here, as you can see, if you sell 1 to 10 vehicles in a year, the maximum number of dealer plates the following year you could get would be 2. If you sell 11 to 25 sales 1 year, the maximum could be 3 the following year. If you sold 26 to 49 vehicles 1 year, the maximum number of dealer plates the following year would be 4. If you sold 50 to 99 plates, then you can get 5 the next year. 100 to 250, you can get 10. And everyone, if you ever sell 250 or more than 250 vehicles in a year, then you can actually have an unlimited number of dealer plates. Okay, so I do want you to be that. So every year, the number of sales that you have will determine the number of dealer plates that you're getting the following year. So in the box right here, you will need to initial that yes, you are aware the number of vehicles sold each year will determine the number of dealer plates you are issued the following year. So the state wants you to know, if you ever had a really slow year, you could end up with less dealer plates the following year. The final page of your dealer license, and I want to read straight from the dealer application. It says right here, it is understood that at the discretion of the registrar, that's the BMV, a physical inspection will be performed by BMV Investigations prior to or after the issuance of the license, and that at any given time during the period which the license is held. I understand that if the license location fails to meet any of the requirements or fails to maintain compliance, it will be immediately referred to the Motor Vehicle Dealers Board for possible suspension or revocation. I'll talk about that here in just a little bit. I understand that the Registrar of Motor Vehicles must be notified if there's a change to the status at the license location, including but not limited to personnel of ownership, relocation at the place of business, the posted business hours, or telephone number. I understand the following issuance of a license. Any individual listed on the license that has been convicted of committing of a felony unrelated to the dealing in motor vehicles, regardless of the date of conviction, could be subject to an administrative board hearing, and notification of an administrative hearing shall be given to the license holder in a timely manner. Finally, I affirm that the motor vehicles owned by this business will be insured or have other financial responsibility coverage and will not be operated without financial responsibility coverage and will not be used as commercial vehicles unless they are registered. So I'm going to talk about your required insurance on your inventory and service vehicles here in just a little bit. I, as an authorized representative of the business entity or sole proprietor, acknowledge that all the information in the foregoing application and any additional documentation is true and correct. So you must make sure that all the information is true and correct. Before you sign your dealer application, as you see here, it does need to be notarized. Now, you can take this down to a dealer auction or a bank to get it notarized. In fact, now the state of Ohio actually allows online notarization. So if you have a webcam, you can have documents notarized online. So make sure you are in front of a notary before you sign your dealer license application. Now you can stick all that paperwork into a big envelope and throw a couple of stamps on it with all the paperwork that we're going to cover here in the course. And you can mail it to Ohio Bureau of Motor Vehicles Dealer Licensing Section, P.O. Box 16521. That's going to be Columbus, Ohio, 43216-6521. And that address is on the dealer application. Or you may hand deliver it to the Department of Public Safety. That's 1970 West Broad, just west of downtown, right off of I-70, Columbus, Ohio, 43223-1101. And before you drive to possibly hand deliver this, I would certainly contact the dealer licensing section to make sure that they are accepting hand delivered applications. Otherwise, they could possibly tell you to mail that. So I do want you to be aware of that. Now, at the end of each unit, we're going to do a quick unit review to go over all the topics that we've learned in that unit. So this was a pretty extensive unit. And in Unit 1, we have learned that in order to obtain a dealer's license, you must complete the dealer application that you're going to get electronically fingerprinted. Remember, we've got to have a business building and a lot. We also have to have a business sign. We're going to submit photographs and maintain at least 25 hours a week. We're going to submit our records. We have to keep records, obviously, as well. We're going to maintain our net worth of $75,000 and a dealer surety bond of at least $25,000. Remember, I'm going to show you here in a little bit how to get your vendor number and also how to register with the Secretary of State's office. You have to fill out that I-9 employment eligibility form, And I'll show you here in a little bit how to get your federal employment identification number. You're going to take your dealer course. Remember, you get your lot inspected after that. So, hey, I always want you to be aware that while you're logged into the learning management system, obviously you are not allowed to fast forward through any of these videos. However, anytime after you complete your dealer training, you can view all the videos in this training course simply by visiting ohiodealer.com. Once again, that's ohiodealer.com, same website that you registered for the course, and click on the course videos right up there at the very top. And then you can easily view any of these videos in the course at that time. And at that time, you can fast forward through the videos to find the subjects that you want to review. So it's very easy to do. Go to ohiodealer.com, click on course videos, and you can review all the content from this course at your own convenience.